NROC. Boost Gen AI adoption safely.
Just a little preamble for people, the three people on the screen, myself, Graham, talking. I'm with BeSecureOnline. I've Neil Kirwan, our European head of sales, is with us as well, and Markus, our host. And we'll be getting going now in a minute. So a very good morning and thank you to everybody for attending. Just burning up the few seconds till 11:01. By the way, we expect to be out on time at about 30 minutes past the hour. There we go. Right. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. We have Markus with us today from sunny Finland. It's certainly not sunny in Greystones where I am. Neil's in South Dublin. Neil Kirwan, our European head of sales. Markus Melin, who is the inventor, manufacturer, and developer of NROC Security, the governance system we're going to be looking at this morning. And we're very lucky to have Markus because I believe in a short time he just won't be available to everybody. As I said, we're going to keep this short, 35 minutes or less. There is going to be a recording available. I thought you might be interested to know who is here. So aside from us, you guys are county councils from Northern Ireland, the Republic, and in the UK. You are public bodies, you are state entities, you're large SMEs, generally with an IT department, and you're public companies. And you're all CISOs, one or two consultants, IT department heads, IT administrators. So everybody with a serious question. And the question we are answering today is when the CEO or the board or the chairperson comes to you and says, what the heck are we doing about AI? How are we controlling it? What are we doing to beat that? Because we need AI, but how are we going to unleash the beast without getting bitten ourselves? And that's the question we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about that in a Copilot, in a ChatGPT, in an OpenAI way. What I want to do is I've already burnt off a minute or so of our valuable time. I'm going to ask Markus a few quick little questions to help get us going. And hopefully in a few minutes, going to invite Markus to actually run his slides. And for the first time in one of our webinars, we're actually going to do a live presentation. They say you should never do a live presentation in a webinar, but we're going to give it a go. Isn't that right, Markus?
Yeah, we will. Thank you, Graham.
We will. Excellent. Markus, I said we'd chit chat for a moment. So I'm going to throw you a couple of easy ones first, but the first one's not so easy. Would you just talk about the introduction of, and bearing in mind Finland is also a member state where you're speaking from this morning. Will you speak to the subject of the introduction of EU legislation for AI this summer? If you could talk about that first. Thank you,
Yeah,
Markus.
So happy to do so. And thanks, Graham, for the nice intro. So EU AI Act coming into force 2nd of August this year. And what it means for companies is that you would need to have all your AI use cases written down. They need to be separated in sensitive and non-sensitive. And sensitive is mostly about personally identifiable information and other people, human-related information, addresses. So pretty much like AI and GDPR sort of synchronized. And what we can do there is we can also see that use cases are the foundation of the system we provide, where documentation and the technical controls are established. So that's also possible from our system to get a fully technical report how the EU AI Act is actually enforced and what's happening there.
And can you give us a date for that this summer? I believe it's in the summer.
Yes, that is 2nd of August. So that's when you need to be already done with the documentation and have such controls in place.
Summer bank holiday for us. Okay, Markus, one of the things that we come across when introducing your product and talking to customers about it is, we're all right, lads, we have Microsoft Purview and our other products that are helping us with this rollout. Can you speak to this, whether this is complementary or a conflict? So over to you on that one. Is NROC competing with or complementing?
So we are complementing the Purview. So Purview does many things. One of them is also supporting partially the AI world. So definitely Microsoft Copilot view is really good with Purview, but the sort of a view to other applications, specifically documents, is something you can't really see well with Purview. And the second note is that we actually also integrate with the Microsoft environment to be able to produce visibility for Word, Excel, PowerPoint copilots, as well as we can integrate to CM service if you happen to use Sentinel.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to speak now to your own product and do some advertising and self-promotion. So can you tell us why NROC is important, what it can do, and tell us why it's so great? So there you are, easy intro.
So yeah, what we do, we provide governance, guardrails, capability to manage the licenses, and also show what the true productivity of the AI from technical perspective is. So in effect, we can help you with the top line, getting more productivity, bottom line, making sure that you are only paying for the licenses you use, and then thirdly, for security, which is a table stake in using AI, we make sure that none of your crown jewels are leaking out.
Okay, excellent. No crown jewels leaked. Perfect. I want to say that we will mention pricing for the moment, and everybody will be delighted to hear this. There's just installation fee, and there is the per user, per head, per year, whatever charge as well. And we'll say that after this. But Markus, because everybody has a hard stop around 11:30, and it's 11:07 now, could you just talk about what the purpose of this meeting is, and ultimately that would be, yes, I would like to do a trial or an assessment. Can you talk briefly before I hand over to you for your demo and your talk through about the trial and the assessment and what that would look like, how easy it is to do?
Yeah, so getting to an assessment, and yes, we provide a 2-week free assessment for anybody on the call today. So the implementation is fairly easy. It takes about 1 hour. What you need to do is deploy a pack file, which is the proxy access file, to direct all the AI traffic through our service. Secondly, it's fully transparent, so then we just wait for a period between 1 and 2 weeks, and afterwards we can provide with an executive report that tells what are the applications used, how much the usage is, are there free applications, meaning free or personal plan or business plan licenses being used, and then what's the skill and the use cases used in an organization. So all this information comes free for the assessment service.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. And as I say, we'll get to pricing afterwards. Markus, I think what we'll do is it's 11:08, so you've about 15 minutes to talk through all of this, and any questions Neil will introduce. So Markus, with that, over to Markus Melin, manufacturer of NROC.
Thank you, Graham. And like I said briefly with different words, we are there to secure personal productivity apps in the organization. How do you actually get grip on the Gen AI productivity gains? That's the question that is on the minds of many. That's the question that board wants to know from the CEO. CEO wants to know from everybody in the management team, and it ends up being the AI champions and the CISOs problem, because like I said, security is the table stake. So personal productivity, let's frame this quickly. So strategic AI, if we start from the right side, is something where company develops its own product or own service or backend processes with really custom built things to supplement or speed up the processing. This is done with own development normally, with the AI engineers, scientists, and it's following the company software development processes. Business process AI nowadays and most often is about SaaS applications that are being brought in that provide some kind of an AI. Again, the control mechanism is there because the IT procurement processes are sort of following up this and implementation and transformation programs in place. But the personal productivity, that's something where anybody in the company can go and start using one of those 17,000 apps. The good part for the companies is that 60% of the people use it. The sort of bad news coming to the next slide is that the employees are actually not really following all the orders. So even if there's guidelines and acceptable use policies, half of the employees are uploading something to Gen AI tools that shouldn't be there. Furthermore, if they are not happy with the tools that the company provided, or they haven't been provided the license, they still use the AI because all the other ones use it in the organization as well. So that means that up to 70% of the usage or the prompts is actually going into free and personal plans. Now, why that matters is that the free and personal plans, by terms of use, train all the models. So this applies to Microsoft, this applies to Google, this applies to OpenAI, and so on. So all of them are training their models with that, and the only thing, only plan that doesn't train the model is normally the business plan that has to be purchased. And while the sort of training is one thing, you shouldn't be putting company information, company documents into such apps. Lastly, it is about return on investment. So this study, and this is based on KPMG study, which was conducted across 47 countries, that proficient AI users make 61% more revenue. So that's really the impact on the top line. And to get there and to really get proficient employees, there's sort of two things that need to happen. First of all, you need to have the amount of usage, and then you need to have the usage skill. And both of these are a traditional IT transformation program where you teach people to learn new things. Saying that, the problem really is that the AI and the personal productivity AI specifically is transformational from the fact that you can actually put anything into the prompt, text, documents, images, and you can't really trust the output in all of the occasions. So that makes it difficult from the transformation program perspective, and also finding the use cases that you want to get introduced in the company to actually gain productivity. So what do you do to succeed? First of all, there's a lot of discussion about security shift left. That has been for the last 5 years. That means that everything is labeled. You have structurized data. You know exactly where your privacy data resides. You know where the company ground jewels are put. You have appropriate labeling for those, and so on. Now, Gen AI applications actually require shift right, which means that everything is checked immediately in context on a fly. Secondly, you need to worry about the governance, as Graham started the meeting, and user permissions. So who gets to use what? Do everybody in the organization, are they allowed to do legal content, for example, or only the legal team that is actually trained to do that? And then you need to make sure that the sensitive data is protected, and you can maintain an oversight in general what's happening in the organization. Second point. So we need to make sure that the users, who are actually the key here, the employees, that they feel that the company has their back. It's only so often that there's a training internally, and the last slide says that, okay, if you mess up, you will be sort of processed according to the warnings and whatnot words. So you want to make sure that the users can trust that the company has their back and it's frictionless. Frictionless means that the users don't have to ask IT to support, but they can solve the problems on their own since they are given enough guidance and instructions what to do. They shouldn't be asking for the IT to come into the support, which always sort of blocks the progress and takes time for IT to address those tickets. Secondly, it's about real time. So guidance needs to be in context. Safeguarding needs to happen immediately, not like 2 hours after. And then there's always, or there can be always, somebody really bumping the guardrails, trying to find the sort of a loophole. So monitoring the behavior, managing the risk from the perspective of data, from the perspective of the sort of used applications as an example. And thirdly, it's about productivity first. So governance has to be driven with the business productivity goals. That's really the only way to start getting true upside to the business. The data has to measure the adoption and the effectiveness. That's, as I said earlier, really the key to start driving towards higher productivity or increased productivity. And then every organization has super prompters or hidden AI talent. These are the people who naturally know how to talk with the AI engine and get faster, better results than the rest of the employees. And identifying these, they are not somebody you would normally go and, okay, this probably is the person, but these might be somewhere elsewhere in the organization. So I will be jumping to a demo, and let's see, like Graham said, let's see if this works or if we get a demo effect. So I'll be sharing my screen, and you should be seeing now Firefox. So first of all, how you know that NROC Security is turned on? It's the normal user interface. You see our floater, and the floater has a button, so you can access prompt library, and you can see that I've signed in with my single sign-on. We don't limit the sign-in which access you use for the applications. So in this case, I have not signed in to Microsoft, so I'm actually using the free version, which is called in Microsoft terminology Copilot for Bing. So I'll take the prompt from the library and put it in. So what I'm asking the Copilot to do is 3 paragraphs long summary out of some financials, and in the end I have Mr. Wei, the CEO's comment for this. So I'll hit go, and what happens is that the prompt gets blocked by security policy. So the user knows immediately, okay, this is my company. We detected some information, and the user gets information, okay, there are customer names, there are entity names, names of individuals, and we categorize this as financial content. The user gets information about the policy. So Copilot for Bing, in this case, has a specific own policy, and we tell the user, hey, we know exactly who you are. And the only thing you can do is close the dialog. So you can still copy and paste the prompt and try again by removing all these problems from the prompt. So still there's less friction because you can try again. So closing, I could still start typing something else. But the fact of life is that this prompt never reached Copilot, but it was blocked on our service, which was before the Copilot was reached. If we go to ChatGPT, and now the only difference, you still have the floater, you still have the button, you still see that I'm signed in, and now the difference is that I have signed in with the business plan. So I'll put exactly the same prompt that I just showed, including Mr. Wayne's comments, and I send the prompt away. What happens now? I get stopped by the security policy. So you can see that the identification is the same, custom names, entity names, financial content, but since we are working with the business plan, the use case and the policies are set so that I'm actually allowed to use this. But and I have a different business policy for this ChatGPT. The only difference is that I'm still checked that am I sure, and I can say okay. It's public information and I can proceed. So what happened here is that we paused the prompt, we held it until the user gave justification to continue. User could have also said, oh, I don't want to do this. Now I figured out there was something wrong with it and pressed cancel. So I got my answer and I could move forward again with whatever business tasks I was doing. How do we see this then on the console? So if we go to the logs and we check the interaction logs. So we open the ChatGPT version. So the interaction says first my access was checked. I'm allowed to access ChatGPT. Then the prompt was checked. And there we see 18 checks done. And out of those 18, there was 3 with the problem. So I had customer names, entity names, and it was financial with high probability. Then the responsible AI was checked, so prompt injections, jailbreaks, and that I got the complete response from ChatGPT business. And then the response we also categorize, but as the policy says, unrestricted, so there was only the logging that it was financial with medium probability. And if I am a super user, which I am today, I can go into user data, I can see the exact prompt, the user's justification, and the response that ChatGPT gave. So we have full record of compliance available for the usage. Lastly, in general, having a view to what's happening with the AI. You can see how many users you have, and we are looking at 4 weeks now. So, so in 4 weeks, I can see that, okay, this the amount of interactions that went in to the major applications used or the most used applications. I can see how many users were using certain plan. You can see that we differentiate with the plans. You can see the daily interactions per user, allowing you to do return on investment calculations, and you can see how many attachments were uploaded. For example, Copilot being train your data to the model, you wouldn't want to see attachments there. Then we provide insight into generated content, like we can see that 3,100 lines of code over the last 4 weeks, and we can see which applications resulted into this. Then we view or show the risk posture, so how much guardrails were enforced, and enterprise chatbots, i.e. the business chatbots that don't use data for model training, how much data and interactions were run through them. And then we show the access, the prompts, the responses, and checking the prompt injections and responsible AI. And the security friction rate is what we use in the system to make sure that it stays on a sensible level for the end users. So these numbers are high because this is our test system, but you can see still that in some applications the friction is a lot lower, whereas in some applications it's really high. And again, then security admins can go and tweak this to whatever is the need in the company. I'll shift back to the presentation.
Hi, Markus. Just while you're Neeler, will you just give that question from one person, and we'll start to close up.
Thanks, Graham. Markus, someone was wondering, is it true that licensing an AI product such as Copilot doesn't limit the use of other AI platforms across the organization, and as a result, limits data leakage risks?
Yes. Even if you have an application where you have the business license, the users can use, unless everything is blocked, the users can still use whatever applications they want. Our solution allows setting guardrails or blocking access to everything or specific applications, or you can just grant access, let's say, to ChatGPT business and block access for ChatGPT personal and ChatGPT free. So you can go within the plan.
Thanks, Markus. Another one coming in. Does it mainly work on well-known AI URLs? So does it have a way to prevent users who have been blocked from the major AI providers uploading data to the plethora of non-reputable websites advertising themselves as AI?
We are supporting today more than 500 applications, and we increase the support on average about 20 to 30 applications per month. And we do focus on the enterprise applications. So the main point maybe being that we try to support the applications that the company wants to use and make them usable, so the users don't have to go into different applications trying to solve the business problem they can't with the company tools, existing tools.
Thanks, Markus. I think that's it for now. Graham has just shared some indicative pricing in the chat there as well for everyone. So 120 per head per annum.
And yeah, my last
go ahead. Please go ahead, Markus.
Yeah. So my last point is that after the call, you will receive the free CISO guide. You can book a demo with us. We can go through your use cases. More than happy to do so. Just contact Graham or Neil. And then, like I said in the beginning, for audience in this call, we provide a 2-week free assessment where we can reveal your true productivity baseline.
That's great. Well, there was a very famous Irish DJ called Larry Gogan who never missed an intro. So I think we'll say thank you very much and just close out at 11:28. So we hit our target of 30 minutes. And may I say to everybody, thank you for your time. Hope you found this interesting. You know where we are, and it's a fantastic product. Unbelievable interest in this from here and around the world. So Markus, well done. Thanks for your help today, Neil.